Well, a profound moral revolution is sweeping the Democratic Party. When we say profound, we mean profound. This is like the Reformation, except instead of 95 theses, there's just one thesis. Walls are bad! Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York and Beto O'Rourke, who's on like a one-man road trip somewhere in Texas, are both running for president. And they put this new thesis in no uncertain terms. Walls must be torn down.
If you could, would you take the wall down now? Here.
Yes.
Like you have a wall.
Absolutely.
Knock it down.
I'd take the wall down.
And do you think the city, if there's a referendum here in this city, that would pass?
I do.
The idea of dismantling some of the wall, good idea, bad idea?
Well, I'd have to ask folks in that part of the country to see whether the fencing that exists today is helpful or unhelpful. So I could look at it and see which part he means and why, and if it makes sense, I could support it.
Tear down those walls! And they're not alone in that. Young pioneer Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says a wall to protect our country is very much like another wall built to imprison a population. Listen to this.
No matter how you feel about the wall, you know, I think it's a moral abomination. I think it's like the Berlin Wall.
The Berlin Wall! What city did that divide? That's the question I want to ask AOC. Jason Nichols is a professor at American Studies at the University of Maryland. He joins us today. Professor, thanks for coming on.
Hey, anytime.
So I was a little bit shocked. Here, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is criticizing East Germany. She's not the person I thought she was.
No, I mean, so again, when she says that walls are immoral, I think what she's not saying, and I don't think anyone believes that walls in and of themselves are immoral. I think what they're saying is that something that walls us off from our allies rather than our enemies is immoral. Somewhere where we're not being invaded, that's what makes it immoral. The fact that it's a physical manifestation of the racism that's coming out of the White House, that's what makes it immoral. Huh. You know, the fact that it's, that it's a wall.
Okay, Beto O'Rourke says that we should tear the walls down that exist on our southern border. Now, I'm pretty sure I understand that Beto is an extremely rich man. I think he married into a billionaire family, okay?
Did he?
So I bet you he's got some pretty stout locks on his doors at home. Why should he be allowed to have those? Why is that not racist?
Well, so,
why aren't they keeping people of color out of his house? I'm serious.
No, I don't think that's what... I don't think that's a fair comparison.
Well,
I think,
really? Why?
I think, well, when you look at it, that area around El Paso did not really have walls for a long time. And we shouldn't even call this a wall. We know it's a gate, a fence.
Well, whatever. It's a physical barrier to keep people out.
Physical barrier. Now, that physical barrier is relatively new.
Right.
And when you go back to 1995 and you look at the trends of violent crime in El Paso, it's always been one of the safest cities in America.
Right.
So it's not like a physical barrier was built and all of a sudden people got safer. It was always a safe city.
Well, but that's absolutely right. And it's a wonderful city, by the way. El Paso is a great place with great people in it. But the city right across the river,
absolutely,
Juarez, was the most dangerous city in the hemisphere. And so they built the wall to keep the dangerous people out during the drug war. That would be fair, right? I mean, that's not racist to do that,
I understand.
Is it?
I totally understand the motivation for building that barrier, particularly, we were in a post 9/11 time where people were afraid of many different things coming from other countries. However, when we look at it statistically, before the gate, there was nothing.
Well, that's
because wasn't violent.
No, that's
even
because.
And Juarez has been violent for a very long time.
But it got really bad, and I think I'm just pulling this out of my head, but I think it's right. I think El Paso is a majority Hispanic city, and I think that wall was built with the approval of most people in El Paso, not because they don't like Hispanics, but because there was an actual threat right across the way, and it sort of served everybody. So it doesn't need to be a race dispute.
Well, the other thing is that the Juarez of 2005 is not the Juarez of 2019. I think we can agree there that it went through a period of extreme violence, but it's not quite as violent now.
So I guess the way you're thinking about this is if there isn't what you consider a threat, then you don't have a right to protect yourself. So Beto O'Rourke lives in a pretty safe neighborhood. Most rich people do. Why should they be allowed to lock their doors? I honestly don't understand. Why is that not racist?
Locking your doors is very different than having
What do you mean? It's
physical barrier.
Look, you're surrounded by allies, and a locked door treats them like enemies. That's what I think the message of Beto's front door is. It's like, what, you don't like me enough to let me in? Isn't the right of migration into Beto's house an absolute right?
Well, first of all, we know when it comes to migration on our southern border, people come through legal ports of entry. We also know the vast majority, and when we talk about undocumented immigration, most of the people, it used to be people said 40% of the people just overstayed a visa.
Right.
Now the new studies are saying as many as 66% of our undocumented people come on airplanes.
Yeah, I think that may be right.
Visas.
That may be right. So you get 33% are coming across the border. Let's start there. But I just want to get really quick. They're talking now, and AOC, the Young Pioneer, is talking about the right of migration. Why doesn't that apply to Beto's yard? And again, I'm asking, why don't I have a right of migration there? What makes him special?
Well, again, I don't know if he has a gate around his yard, but
I hope he doesn't.
I think private property is different than he's not worried.
Than a country. Okay, you're telling me I have to go, but we have an excellent conversation for next time on private property. I hope you'll come back.
Will do.
Thank you,
All
Professor.
right, thanks, Tom.